name is Lindsay Shuck with Family Office Networks. Thank you for joining the FON webinar series today featuring Nuzuna Zone Fitness. Nuzuna has assembled an experienced team of industry leaders, positioning the company with a solid foundation of exceptional leadership, enabling the company to scale successfully, capture multiple revenue streams, and develop new ways for the future of financial growth. With that said, on today's call, we have Stephen Shapiro, Chairman and Medical Director, Charles Laverty, Founder and CEO, Sam Strayer, COO and VP of Physical Therapy, and Chris Brea, CFO. At the end of the presentation today, we will have time for Q&A. Please send over any questions you have using your chat options so the team can answer accordingly. Charles, I'll let you take it from here.
Great. Thank you, Lindsay, and thank you for attending this webinar. I'm going to start the presentation and speak a little bit about strategy and what's happening in the changing world of fitness, and then switch it over to some of my associates who have expertise in the medical side, physical therapy, and in the financial side of not only the company, but also the entire business. The market itself is quite significant. The market's about $4.2 trillion globally. There's over $60 billion are spent on fitness and wellness right now. And of course, the aging population is driving that. And then the military market in itself is about $150 billion, quite significant. And I'll touch on the military market in a few minutes. So why Nuzuna? What does Nuzuna mean? Nuzuna means, the derivative of Nuzuna is new zone. And basically, Nuzuna is zone fitness through electromuscle stimulation technology. We're first to the market with this, and by far way ahead of any competitors that might be in the market. And more importantly, this is where fitness and wellness end up with a positive outcome. So let me speak for a second about the market needs and the value proposition of Nuzuna. The market needs are quite significant. As I mentioned, there's $600 billion spent on fitness and wellness, about $35 billion spent on physical therapy. And what's driving that is the aging population. People are more physical. Healthcare needs are changing. People are more in tune to their own personal healthcare. People are living longer. A lot of research on the medical side. A lot of power drivers in what's happening. So what's the value proposition that Nuzuna delivers? Electromuscle stimulation has been around for a long time, but we've taken it to a different level. And what's happened is we developed a power-driven training module that can be used in various forms of exercises. So the value that we have is really tied into time. The most valuable asset an individual has is their time. And with Nuzuna, you're only required to do about 2 20 to 30-minute workouts per week, which is equivalent to about 4 to 5 hours of alternative modes or modalities. Who are our clients? Our clients are basically fitness facilities, our own physicians, the military, professional sport teams, personal trainers, physical therapists, chiropractors. We cover a myriad of different clients. The fitness and wellness market, I mentioned that a little while ago. Less than 5% of the adults in the U.S. participate in physical activity. Only 1 in 3 adults receive recommended physical activity weekly. And there's 4 out of 10 adults that lack physical activity. Obesity is the 5th leading risk factor for death, according to the World Health Organization. That's pretty significant. So let me look, for example, at exercise and physical activity. It's a little bit on sort of a pyramid effect. If you look at sports and recreational activities, it's 2 to 3 times a week. If you look at flexibility, it's two or more days each week. Aerobic exercises, resistance exercises, balance activities, just activities of daily living. And that takes up a tremendous amount of time. With our EMS system, it's twice a week, 20 minutes each time. So not even a comparison to what people are doing today. The fitness industry, I spoke about how big that was. The number of fitness centers in the U.S. grew from 86,000 in 2009 to over 102,000 in 2018. The revenue increased from 26 billion to 33 billion, and the club membership grew by 2.9% from 2013 to 2017. In fact, even in a recession, the fitness business does very well. And the U.S. fitness memberships now have over 60 million members. So what are the advantages of Nuzuna? Well, the trends. Our product covers 19 of the 20 worldwide fitness trends, according to the American College of Sports Medicine. Fitness abilities. We can deal with someone who's a novice or a professional athlete. And that's one of the unique features of electromuscle stimulation and what we provide. I mentioned time and efficiency. It's hyper efficient. It's results oriented, and you get much quicker results than any other form of physical activity or physical therapy. And from a revenue standpoint, we're so differentiated that we're a high-end provider. We're not the normal what's called class pass that's $20 per visit. Looking at our technology, you can see the competitor on the left-hand side is also EMS. However, what that has is all hooked up to a machine and wires. We are 100% wireless. So you can do this activity in the facility. You can do it out in the street. You can do it on a track. You can do it on a golf course, a tennis court, any place, and in the home. As a matter of fact, we're just in the process of releasing our home unit, which will be tied to lessons, virtual lessons, which more about that in a few minutes. Most important is the analytics application. We're able to hook into electronic medical records. We have a digital library for on-demand fitness sessions. We can deliver direct data to a client's physician. We believe that telemedicine is going to be increasing dramatically. We've seen that happen just over the past 3 months with the COVID-19. And on the corporate wellness side, we are working with large corporations, and we're guaranteeing that we can reduce their healthcare costs by 15%. Physical therapy, I'm going to turn it over to Sam. Sam is our VP of Physical Therapy and our Chief Operating Officer. We actually acquired Sam's physical therapy business, and there's a huge component with EMS and physical therapy. Sam?
Hey, hello, everybody. I've been in this industry for about 19 years, and Charlie spoke of the market size and impression, but I want to start out with a quick story. About 10 years ago, working with a lot of doctors and surgeons all over Southern California market, we were hoping and praying for the capability of connecting to a patient, being able to actually, if you will, picture a USB port that we could connect to them to help them to understand what we're trying to do, what we're trying to get across. Until I met Charlie and the team at Nuzuna, we didn't have that. So once I met them, you can understand that I realized the game changer that we had with EMS. We are now able to connect that USB port to the patient in real time, and the efficacy has gone through the roof. This allows us to work with the patient, to connect with their muscles, to understand the imbalances, and to really take what usually takes 8 to 12 weeks on physical therapy. We're seeing it cut in half in 4 to 6 weeks, which is groundbreaking. Working with a lot of doctors and surgeons, pre and post surgical procedural plans. So what that does in the physical therapy market is actually de-risks us. It puts us inside with the doctors and surgeons. We build the plans together with them, utilizing the EMS technology, so that the surgeons and doctors basically have a full suite of services that adds another alternative revenue source. Additionally, it allows us to give that warm hug to the doctor. So we're really taking care of the patients and clients on a high level. What we see right now is a unique crossroad in the world of physical therapy and recovery. We just wrote an article recently, Charlie did. People are living longer, and with that length of time, we're seeing that the population has an increase in osteoporosis. And we noticed that the high impact exercise of the recovery that we see today is actually proven to be a hardship on them. So with the EMS technology, we now can get rid of all of the risk factors and increase the benefit. We get earlier discharge from hospitals to outpatients, and we really see get them back to their active lifestyle, and the results and injuries are groundbreaking. I mean, again, effectively, we're killing it in about half the time. Another point I want to bring up before we go too much further is that we see right now in the healthcare industry, specifically in physical therapy and post-rehab, that it's broken. Right now, when you go into a physical therapist's office, you're generally being prescribed by an orthopedic surgeon or their referring doctor. What happens 9 times out of 10 is they put you in a 15 to 20-year-old style of rehab therapy in which you don't see results. And then, unfortunately, we see that patient go right into surgery. That is generally 30 to 40% of the time the wrong effect. With EMS technology and the patent pending process of moving people through this hybrid physical therapy approach, we see less likely for surgical intervention, and we see a greater outcome if we do have to do the surgery itself, even from a post-surgical standpoint. So to say that the EMS technology for physical therapy and post-rehab is a game changer is an understatement. It really does a phenomenal job, and the patients feel it in the first use, which is groundbreaking. And one other point I'll add: when you have a patient that can't move, you got a patient stuck in a wheelchair, you got a patient post-surgical from a shoulder injury that has no capability of moving their arm, simply by putting the suit on, we can get them 1 or 2 weeks ahead within the first visit. So it does change the way that we look at physical therapy, and a lot of doctors and surgeons are jumping on board rather quickly.
Our medical market applications is quite large, and I'm going to have Dr. Stephen Shapiro, who is our chairman of Nuzuna, who was also the chief of surgery at Cedars-Sinai Hospital in Los Angeles for over 10 years. Steve, could you take over the medical market?
Certainly. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for attending this webinar. The medical applications of EMS really are very exciting. Medicine is heading into an era of molecules, where we develop molecules to interact with the human body in so many ways, and so many diseases will be maintained and actually cured by molecular means, where the mechanical means of disease will be incredibly manipulated by this technology. We're seeing it right now, actually, in the development of vaccines for coronavirus, where a 5-year process will probably take anywhere from 3 to 6 months. That being said, electrical stimulation is also very exciting in the medical market, and will probably enhance many of these molecular changes that we see in therapy. If we can change the slide, Charlie, I can kind of get going with that. I don't know if you can or not. This is just some data that we've already talked about, how important exercise is into therapy. But let me go into even further. Electrical stimulation actually started back almost 3,000 years ago during the Greeks, where if you had soft feet, you would step on eels. The electrical stimulation would take some of the pain away. We have looked at a number of disease processes, anecdotally thus far, but we will be setting up IRBs in about 4 or 5 institutions. These include, and the observations have been really keen, one is Parkinson's disease, which is very prevalent as we get older. And we've taken 4 or 5 patients, this is off-label, and within 3 to 5 episodes of using this whole body EMS, we've been able to change their gait so that they went from the gait, which is very standard. They have poor balance, they stoop, their head is down, to almost a normal gait. We've been able to reduce the tremor by anywhere from 40 to 65%. The real exciting areas for me, though, besides some of these mechanical and neurologic diseases, are changes that we may be seeing with some autoimmune diseases. The first one that has been really exciting, certainly to me, has been twofold. One is idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, which is a disease where the body no longer recognizes lung tissue as its own and begins to change the lungs into basically scar tissue. This disease is basically fatal in about anywhere from 3 to 4 years, and there is no cure for it currently. We have 1 patient and looking at another that has had remarkable changes with just EMS 4 to 5 times weekly. The actual biopsy was done at my Sinai Medical Center, and the patient being cared for by one of the world's experts in IPF. It's interesting, after about 1.5 years of EMS, his CAT scan and probably MRI have changed to basically show normal lungs. This is really very exciting, and one of the studies we'll be setting up will be with Dr. Noble at Cedars, looking at 15 to 20 of these patients. Another of these diseases, which is related to autoimmunity, is called Dupuytren's contracture, and that is where you see patients with a claw hand. Currently, the only way to treat these patients right now are with surgery, and it can be a very extensive surgery, and also with Botox. We have one patient now, and actually another that I know of, that has complete resolution of this claw hand within about 1 year of EMS. Another disease that is really exciting, and we have some data on this from the University of Tampa, is osteoporosis, which is one of the most prevalent diseases in women over 60 years old. And it's basically the demineralization of bone, and these patients get fractures and really can't exercise very well because of threat of fracture. Within 3 to 6 months of EMS, the individuals at the 6 individuals at the University of Tampa using this technology, this particular technology, showed anywhere from 2 to 4% of remineralization. That's a very, very important thing. Also, we've seen changes with female incontinence using the technology, and it really goes along with the type of electrical stimulation that is locally applied, especially in female incontinence, which is the inability to maintain urinary continence. MS, a couple of other diseases. We'll be studying probably 4 to 5 major illnesses with this technology. Remember, the technology is really quite new. Although TENS has been around for many, many years, the frequencies used with electrical stimulation up until this recent EMS technology has been between 25 and 50 hertz. We use frequencies of anywhere from 200 to 500 hertz. And on the medical side, because we can modulate the stimuli, we may be able to reach anywhere from 2600 to 3400 hertz. This will be very exciting in the sense that this has never been done before and may have very important implications in both mechanical and autoimmune areas of the body. So as the company progresses and as we develop the kind of revenue that I know we will from both fitness, wellness, physical therapy, we will be starting IRBs at 4 institutions. My institution, University of Tampa, negotiating with Stanford now, and probably Texas A&M. And we may get some really exciting answers that will be incredibly exciting for the company, both on an intellectual basis and from your perspective, I suspect, on a revenue basis. And so I would say that plus our analytics for health, going into the health records of patients and into the physical therapists, we have a lot to offer on the medical side. And I would leave it at that, Charlie.
Thank you, Steve. The military market, I'll cover this pretty briefly, but the military market itself is quite significant. Basically, an active duty personnel, there's about 65,000 people which leave the military on a yearly basis for obesity. As a matter of fact, we've been in discussion with the Marine Corps, and a good portion, 12% of their new inductees are sent home after 30 days because they fail. So we think that we can play a big role with the military, and we've actually designed, you'll see on the left-hand side of the screen, we've designed suits for both male and female for the military. Basically, this is low to middle range frequency, but we can increase it quite significantly as time goes on. And there's multiple types of training and recovery, easy maintenance, it's all machine washable, and collects data for senior leadership in the military. And it's designed to meet all the necessary requirements of the military. Each soldier would be issued their individualized suit as part of their gear when they enlist or when they're recruited in different services. Currently there's no products or services that efficiently deals with these problems, and the DoD is starting to mandate about different things that has to happen on the physical fitness side. So we're pretty far along in this. We're working with Wounded Warriors, and we see this as a significant upside. And because the fellow who heads this up for us is a veteran and a disabled veteran, we think we have a little bit edge up, and no one else is speaking to the military about this. We're the only ones. So this is a pretty positive step. Right now, overall, Nuzuna is really breaking new boundaries or new barriers. As I mentioned, there's 2 20-minute workouts per week, which is equivalent to 4 to 6 hours of traditional training or workouts. You might have CrossFit, which is pretty big throughout the country. Most of the injuries that go to orthopedists are from CrossFit. The fitness ability here and the recovery time with physical therapy is unbelievable what we can do. The physical ability can go from a novice, as I mentioned, to a professional athlete. We have technology that a normal process is 1 personal trainer works with 8 clients, but we have a new device called ProMax that we can do up to 50 clients at a time now, such as settings in cycling, yoga, dance, a variety of different things. So what happens here is that you create a muscle memory and you create muscle imbalance, and that's why this is so effective and why the 2 sessions per week have such an impact. Basically, this is just a quick slide that shows the comparison between a conventional exercise and EMS, and how many muscle fibers are activated by using EMS. We have just finished designing, while the suit is sort of like Lululemon material or putting on a pair of tights, it just goes up to the knee. We have just finished having pants by themselves with electrodes in all the pants, and also a top, like a compression shirt top that has electrodes in it. So people can be very mobile in what they're doing. We have positioned the company as the leading option for health and wellness in all of the US. And we've introduced the functional impulse training rehab system, and that's both for wellness and for physical therapy and on the medical side. This is the suit you can see. Basically can be done in a group setting. What happens is we are not only selling the suits based upon clients signing up for a year's membership, we're giving the suit away to them. What stays with the club or the facility is the box on the left-hand side of the suit, and that is the technology and the proprietary software that we have that creates, actually now the new, we have on a 3rd generation, is 32 different applications. You can see that the box works off, it's 100% wireless. It works off either an iPhone or an iPad. And actually the ProMax system is a iPhone without the phone. Sounds a little crazy, but there's no phone in it. It's just our system that we did with Apple, that people can just be out running, or they can be on a golf course hitting balls, a golf driving range, on a tennis court. They can do anything with it. So just the magnitude of what you can do with our technology is unequaled by anyone in the industry. And if you look at lately, there's been stuff on the news about gyms opening, and they all look the same. A lot of equipment and a lot of weights and everything. You virtually need any equipment here. You need bands, balls, some dumbbells, but you don't need any equipment. You can do this running, jogging. I mentioned tennis, golf, anything you want. So our business model, we started out we have 10 locations right now. As you probably would guess, like the rest of the country, we've been closed down for going into the 3rd month, but we're getting ready to open, and we'll be opening with 10 facilities. And we have another almost 12 leases we've signed ready to open that will give us 22 to 23 locations. Our business model was to basically first make some acquisitions, which we did, and then roll them. It was the old IBM picket fence strategy, where we did this mostly in Orange County in a radius of so many towns where we're exposed to the 3.5 million people that live here. And now we're expanding a little further out of Orange County and LA County and some other areas. Right now, we're basically in Southern California, although we have signed an agreement with an orthopedic group in Huntington, Long Island, to open a center there. So we're working with a number of high-profile people who will be using our device and our technology and doing a lot on the social media side with that area. Our acquisition strategy was to roll up the existing wellness centers we had in physical therapy. We now have a client base of over 35,000 individuals, and basically our monthly revenue we expect about $500,000 to $600,000 a month. We will finish the year 2020 at a $20 million run rate with a 23% net operating margin. So currently the company has about 86 employees. As we get additional locations up, we're adding employees. We also working on our franchise. Actually, our first franchise model is opening up in Newport Beach to show people around the country. And that is just about completed. That'll be opening up a week from this coming Tuesday. So looking at the market, for an example, and I wanted to go back on that because I think that's what's really important, that how big this market really is. You can see that the number of adults aged 20 to 64 is the largest gym-going demographics. We just left a study by a company called MindBody, which is a CRM and a merchant services, and about 85% of the adults in that age of 20 to 64 are going to the gym three times a week. Average salary, average income is about $95,000 to $130,000, and they're spending about $2,600 to $2,700 a month in the gyms they belong to. So the market is really quite significant and continuing to grow. The competitive landscape on a broad scale, Nuzuna, we basically compete with companies like 24-Hour Fitness or F45, CrossFit, Equinox, big boxes. Our facilities range from about 3,000 square feet up to about 15,000 square feet. However, we're really focused on the franchise model going forward outside of California, which is about 3,000 square feet. And not a lot of equipment, a reasonable rent rate. And we're also working with the military as identifying franchisees. And the reason we're doing that is because when people come out of the military, in most cases, they're in fairly good shape. They know about healthcare, physical therapy, and they're very good at following direction and orders and things that you want to do in a franchise. So we've had a number of meetings with what's called BetFran, and we're working with them. And one interesting part of that is the SBA will fund up to $5 million for a veteran with a 95% guaranteed by the government. So we're sort of tying that both together in our strategy going forward on the franchises. Our marketing strategy is basically forming relationships with Physical Activity Council, physical therapy physicians, orthopedists, pain management doctors. We think physical therapy is a tremendous channel because many of the clients that we have on physical therapy end up with being clients in our facilities. We're very big in social media and blogs. We're doing a lot of digital billboards in key areas. And we're looking with, when I say strategic partners, more like corporate partners that we can provide this right on their campus. The market's growing 8 to 10% a year. We already spoke about the total number of memberships. The wearable technology is significant, and it's growing more and more every day. I probably hear a lot about the iWatch or the Apple Watch, about Fitbit, about so many different wearables. And we're looking at turning that into some of the clothing line that we have. So we think our technology will really enhance the data that can be in wearables. If you were to do a SWOT analysis on the company, basically, and look at strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, we have state-of-the-art EMS technology. We have the senior management. Chris Bray, our CFO, comes to us from, he's first started his career out with one of the big four accounting firms. He's a CPA. He has a master's in professional accounting. He's been with, he spent quite a bit of time with Alvarez and Marcel. He also worked with Investment Bank in New York, and he brings a tremendous amount of not just credibility to the company, but more of experience in roll-ups, in always reducing expenses, and always looking at how we can increase the profitability of the company. So that's a real strength on our side. We have very cost-effective and time-effective workouts. Our staff is, as a matter of fact, we've already given some equity out to a number of our key players that they're owners in the company, and our opportunities are endless. We position ourselves as the leading California wellness brand. There's 40 million people in California. We have pretty aggressive plans for growing and expanding rapidly nationwide. We meet the increasing demand for efficient and physical therapy and fitness programs. And we're becoming, we believe we're positioning ourselves as a marquee fitness brand on a national scope. Our weaknesses, new facilities, and obviously the overhead's high until you get your clients in there. We have no operations currently outside of Southern California. And with new technologies, you always have to educate the customer. And our threats are other gyms, though no one else has what we have in EMS and physical therapy as combined. And of course, as you're growing rapidly, you always have an insatiable appetite for capital. So funding is a key ingredient for Nuzuna going forward. Our first year revenue projections, as I mentioned, will finish the year at a $20 million run rate, which is pretty significant, including even after we've been closed down for 30 days by this national emergency. Our projections continue to grow year over year quite significantly. Our income statement, basically in the third month of opening the center, we're profitable, both on a cash flow basis and a net income basis. And basically, when you look at this four key ingredients for success in the company, is the product, the market, the verticals, and the team. We think we have the most advanced technology in a science that's older than the English language. The market itself is, we couldn't be in a better market based upon demographics. The verticals to us are very important. Medical, which includes physical therapy, fitness, defense, corporate, everything you can think about on the verticals we cover. And the team, most of our key people have degrees in kinesiology. We have one of the top general surgeons in the world as our medical director, who is highly regarded out of Cedars-Sinai. We have probably one of the most highly respected physical therapists in Sam and his leadership. And I already spoke about Chris, and the people underneath them are the same. So it's very important that as you're building a company, while you need capital, and capital is important for your balance sheet, the quality of your personnel is important for your balance sheet too. And I think we've assembled, of our 86 people, some of the top people in the industry so far. Our current locations are on the map. You can see them there. A little bit tough to see this map the way it is, but laid out. Some of them aren't open yet. Some of them are in the process. Primarily, we're in Southern California right now. The next out of California will be Huntington, Long Island. And we've hooked up with one of the largest orthopedic groups on Long Island. So that should be very efficient for us. Testimonials. I'd like to first start out with Audra Plagman is on the phone. She's a significant person and position within the Family Office Network. And Audra is actually trained on EMS system. And Audra, maybe you can make a few comments on that.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Audra with Family Office Networks. My experience and results with the EMS bodysuit have been absolutely amazing. The suit is very comfortable and easy to wear. It's easy to work out and move around in. Very effective and does the job in 20 minutes, which is very convenient for my lifestyle. I'm very energized after each session, and no muscle soreness, which is really nice. I've toned up tremendously and have lost inches, and the training staff is very knowledgeable, professional, and individualized in people's personal goals. So I've been very happy with my overall experience.
That's great. That's great. Thank you, Audra. We have hundreds of testimonials. There's some on the screen right now. The one that really, to me, is amazing is Dr. Ann Turner. We have a contract with the city of Claremont, California. Claremont is where the 5 colleges are, some of the best colleges in the country, Harvey Mudd and Pomona Pitzner and McKenna, and it's an excellent community. And Ann Turner is, she runs the community center for the city of Claremont. So we have a contract with them, and when we first got that about 8 or 9 months ago, I spoke to her about her doing it, and she was very, I don't know, sort of blasé. I don't know if I really want to do this. Anyway, we finally convinced her. She started out with a large suit, and she's in a small suit right now. So after 5 months, she's lost 10 inches on her waist. And you can see a testimonial up there. It's just quite incredible. And then also a lady named Carolyn Bustos, and then Melissa Valero, both of them. I mean, we have hundreds of these. You know, we could fill up every page, but the results are staggering here. And this is something that really, truly works. And it doesn't just work to lose weight. It works to help people sleep better, mental attitude. You know, the body, the heart works off electricity, as you all know. And this has a tremendous impact upon the day-to-day living of people who either exercise with this or do physical therapy, and really changes their life. The management team, we mentioned Steve Shapiro, myself, Sam, Chris Bray, Greg Musterman, John Edison's our VP of Legal, Gary Goltz is our corporate people, and then we have a number of trainers, Joe and Rocky, Anthony, Wendy. We actually have a full line of wellness and beauty products, all under our own label. We have, while most clubs charge people for bottled water, we give people bottled water when they leave under our label. So everything we're doing, we're branding under Nuzuna. And I'm going to have Chris make a few comments about one of the reasons why he came and joined Nuzuna, with his extensive background in finance and consulting with Alvarez.
Sure, thanks, Charlie. Yes, I joined the company fairly recently, and the number one driver that brought me here was 2 things. One, the product, the technology, and the unlimited vision that Charlie has and where he wants to be. Super exciting, and I think we have really high potential to make this a special brand. The other thing, which is directly attached to that, is Charlie's leadership. If you know, Charlie will probably give you his background here shortly, but when I met with him for the first time, one of the key takeaways I took was he was a winner. From when he started his career a few years ago, I won't say how many, in sales and marketing, he has dominated everything he's touched effectively. He's been the CEO and runs several medical device and healthcare companies. He was Turnaround Entrepreneur of the Year. I could go on, but it's someone that I wanted to be a partner with and to work with and to see how far we can take this.
Great, Chris. So anyway, thank you very much for your time. I'm going to turn it back to Lindsay for any questions.
Thank you, everyone. Yes, we do have some questions, so I'll go ahead and get started. One question, do the suits also need to be immersed in water to allow the electric current to be transmitted?
So the question is, do the suits have to be immersed in water? Not at all. It's not a wetsuit. As a matter of fact, you really would never immerse it in water when you have the technology, which is the box. The only thing you do is we actually have a little gel that goes on, sort of like a moisturizing cream that you put on, and that gives good contact to the electrodes. And then the suit is washed it's not put in the dryer, but it's washed about every fifth lesson. The suit is also lined with silver, and it's actually antibacterial within the suit.
Okay, great. And another question, what is the cost to the consumer?
Well, the question is, what are the costs to the consumer? There's a variety of different plans. Physical therapy billed separately. But for an example, if someone wants to join a year's membership, it's $100 a month. They have access to any of the clubs. The only thing they pay for is the additional personal training. But that $100 a month they pay gives them the suit. The suit retails at $5.99. So in reality, they're paying $50 a month to have access to 10 different clubs. On the home unit, the home unit is a separate box and includes virtual testing, sort of like a Peloton concept. That's $17.99. It's financed over a period of a year, and they get access to the virtual lessons. Then there's also the ProMax system, which is, as I mentioned, an iPhone without the phone, and that also can be done. If someone's to buy that, that's $8.99, which includes the ProMax system and the suit.
Okay, fantastic. Now this next question, it may be a question for Stephen to answer. Have you tried the technology for treating chemo-induced neuropathy, CIPN? What intellectual property do they have?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear I couldn't understand the question.
It's asking if you guys have tried the technology for treating CIPN and what intellectual property do they have?
What intellectual property on the suit or on EMS?
Why don't you answer both?
I'm sorry, Lindsay, I'm not understanding you. I really don't understand the question.
Let me answer the IP side. So on the suit, we have a couple of patents pending, and on the intellectual property really on the box is we're using a lot of component parts where we get the box from our suppliers in Germany, and a number of those come that you couldn't do anything because the electrodes that go into the box are out there in other devices. They're in cars. We get a number of things from BMW as an example. What's really important, quite honestly, is Nuzuna and the trademark, which Nuzuna is a registered trademark, and being to the market first. And I think that my background has been in healthcare for most of my career, and while everyone wants to question patents and how important they are, the reality is I've seen in healthcare where very large companies go and just copy some device and end up in litigation, and eventually really put a strain on the smaller company because they can't afford the litigation. They end up acquiescing and selling their technology to a larger company. I think what's more important is having the client base and being first to the market and looking at differentiating your product so you're far ahead of everyone. We're already on the third generation in our suits and the third generation in our boxes. Our new suits now are coming out with the client's heart rate built into the suit. So you won't have to wear a monitor around your arm or around your chest. A number of competitors measure your heart rate, but you have to wear that. With us, it's built into the suit. So we're far ahead on the technology, and we have a whole team that does nothing but technology. Steve, I think the question on the healthcare was, is there any impact with chemo with EMS?
Oh, with chemotherapy?
Yes.
Actually, probably yes. There would be significant, if you're on chemotherapy, this modality would be unstable. And some of the chemotherapeutic agents would not necessarily be as effective as they should be. So while you're on, and it depends on the chemotherapy. If you're on things like methotrexate or 5-FU, you could not use it. With some of the newer chemotherapeutic agents, especially the immunologic ones, you could use EMS without difficulty. I'm sorry. Thank you for clarifying that, Shirley. I couldn't hear her.
Great, thank you. If there's any other questions, now is the time to go ahead and utilize that chat option to send them over. We will be following up with everyone individually, and if there's any questions after this webinar, we will be in touch as well. Charlie, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, let me just finish with, again, thank you for your time. And we're doing a special with FON. The company is, just with, because they did such a great job of getting people into this webinar, that the company is raising some additional capital in what's a convertible debt instrument. We're giving a 15% discount to the principal. So hypothetically, if one of the family offices wanted to put 100,000 in, the note, the convertible debt would be 100,000, but they'd only invest 85,000. And then also there's a second kicker to that, that we're in the process of working on institutional round. And then that would be converted at the debt holder's option to common stock at a 10% discount to what it might be with the institutional round. So hypothetically, if the pricing was just say $10 a share, then it would then the family office would have $9 a share convert price, while they also got the 15% discount off the principal. So if anyone has any questions on that, they can certainly contact Chris on it, and we can provide the documentation to it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And it doesn't seem there's any more questions at this time. Again, we thank you all so much for joining us today, and we look forward to reaching out to you by the end of the day. Have a good one.
Great. Thanks, Lindsay.
Thank you.
Bye.